Good morning, people. Um, so today I have some things that I would like to talk about. Um, so first things first, Happy New Year's. I know we're already 10 days in, but Happy New Year to all my viewers. Secondly, yes, I have started back school. I'm going back to school for my bachelor's in technical management with the specialization of hospitality. So I'm kind of excited, although I won't be graduating until 2028. But still, it is a very exciting time for me. A little frustrating if you know how it feels to go back to school after uh, 40 years old. So, yeah. Other than that, I would like to invite you guys on a journey with me to quitting Mary Jane. Yes, it is official. I am quitting Mary Jane. It took me a while to get the gist of it, but for the most part, let me give you a rundown. So, 10 years ago, I just made 10 years in July. I did stop drinking alcohol. I don't indulge in any type of alcoholic beverages. Um, I also did quit eating pork too. So, those are two things um, off my list for a healthy start. So my self improvement journey actually began, I would say, in about 2015. At that time, no, nothing was going on with me. I just felt that it would have been better for me to make better and healthier choices, especially because I had just had a child a couple of years prior. So I felt that it would have been um, the right thing to do to raise my son in a healthier environment. Okay. Now, fast forward. In the meantime, I had been struggling with addiction, overall addiction, um, for quite some time. I These are things that I didn't talk to anybody about. Um, Another thing that I was struggling with that I wanted to do for a long time was nicotine, smoking cigarettes, because nicotine leads to a lot of different health problems, and worst case scenario, death. So I did not want to continue opening myself to damages that alcoholism and nicotine or substance abuse would be contributed to. So I have quit cigarettes about 3 or 4 times. I have not been successful in those attempts. I mean, I would say I was successful in a couple of attempts, which a couple of times I did quit for about a year. I think this would be probably the third time I'm quitting, and I have reached a year. September would be September would September made, excuse me, September made 1 year of me nicotine free. Now I am working on getting rid of Mary Jane. Um, it has been a very long journey that I'm not going to say struggling with, but yeah, it's been hard. Especially because I was using my vices to substitute physical um, I would say physical companionship and emotional companionship. Um, when I was younger, I started very young. I would say about 14 years old. I started with drinking and smoking cigarettes first. And then as I got older, um, and the lifestyle that I was raised in and living, um, I started smoking marijuana by the time I was 15. And when you're that young, you're not doing it out in the open. You are, well, I don't know about today's kids. These kids today, you see them doing it out in the open. Um, well, not really so much of the drinking, but yeah, you do see them kind of young doing it out in the open. But in reality, a person who is 14, 15, and even 16 is not doing it out in the open. They are doing it in the privacy of a friend's home or in the privacy of their social environment, whether their social environment hangs out in staircases or they hang out in lobbies or they hang out in a friend's home when a parent is at work or a guardian is at work, or they're getting on a train and taking long train rides and going somewhere where they don't know nobody. But best believe they're not doing it in the comfort of people that they know. And that is why um, a lot of parents do not know what their kids are doing or suspect that their kids are doing it, but they just really don't know until their kid turns about 16, 17. 16, 17, when the child is about to be 18 years old, that's when things start to come out. As for me, in my experience, my mom found out that I was an alcoholic when I was about 15 years old, thanks to one of my older sisters. I would never forget. I would never forget that shit. But um, I I'm not proud of a lot of decisions that I made, but I do not regret a lot of decisions that I made either. There are some that I do regret. I wish I could, turn back the hands of time and make a different decision. But I can't, you know. And so I try my best not to dwell on those things. But as I got older, my addiction to substance became a little bit stronger, especially because I did not have the what I felt like was the love and support and that I wanted from my that I needed or wanted from my family and friends. No matter how many laughs we shared together, no matter how many shoulders I cried on or I let cry on me, or no matter what events we attended, no matter what, I was lacking something. I know that now, but at the time when I was doing it, I wasn't doing it to say, "Oh, let me do this to cover up for that." That's just not reality. When you are poisoning yourself and when you are doing these things that you feel are okay, you are not thinking about it like that. You are thinking about it like you this is something that everybody is doing and you just want to be a part. You don't want to be the Debbie Downer. You don't want to be, you know, um, you don't want to be the people you don't want to be the person that everyone is like, ew, I don't want to be around her. She act like she too good or whatever. And I wish, you know some in some events I wish I had a little bit stronger will power than I did. um but then eventually as I got older, it became more of a social thing. It went, because, like I said, my mom found out that I was drinking and smoking since I was at 15. So really, there was nothing for me to hide. So eventually, I mean, of course, I have respect for my family, and I didn't do it in my house. But when I went outside, best believe I was doing what I wanted to do, and I didn't feel like I was hurting anybody, um, not even myself. In fact, I felt like I was helping myself. um, and so as I got older, it went from being a following to now you're not being a follower anymore. Now this is what you do. So now, you're 17, 18, 19, even 20, and you are now that's part of your life now. So you use that to bond with other people, and you have your friends, and no one's seeing anything wrong with anything. You're just enjoying life, and that's what I did. I enjoyed my life. I enjoyed drinking. I enjoyed smoking. I enjoyed sex. Um, I enjoyed partying. um, and I enjoyed doing it with people that I thought were my friends. But then, you know, you get a little older and you start growing apart from people and you start realizing that, or you start opening your eyes, or someone else opens your eyes to what is going on around you. And in my case, someone that I had held dear to my heart told me basically that the people that I was being around was not my friends. They were not for me, including family members. And when they told me that, I believed it because at the end of the day, this was a person that I loved and I had trusted um, at that time in my life. And I was young and I went along with it because I was seeing things for myself. I was seeing things and I was hearing things, and I never addressed them because I'm not a confrontational person. I've never been a confrontational person. Not to say that I won't get into a confrontation. I will. It's not the problem. The problem was I believed this person. And once that happened, I think I started to see what that person was talking about, you know? And even though that person may have said it in the moment of anger, or frustration or dislike for me, um because it wasn't always like that. Like I said, you get older and you grow apart and feelings change, and and things happen. So this person that told me that, I felt like they were telling me the truth because one, they told me something out of an emotion, and I know that when a person is mad, they will say anything to hurt you. But it does not mean that it's not the truth. It's just that they've been holding on to that whatever it was that came out when they were mad, they were holding on to that for a very long time. Whatever the reason may be. And my view and people started to change little by little. And then there were other instances, that made me tear away from people. And then I had my son. I had my son, and I made the decision to start distancing myself. I would call it loving from a distance. Um, I started distancing myself from people that I thought were for me because honestly, I didn't feel like they were for me no more. I didn't feel like nobody was for me no more. And I tried very hard to, stay in tune with being a part of the life that the the livelihood that I had, but it just was not working. And so I started distancing myself from people little by little. Not the people that I obviously held in my heart, but I guess because I was distancing myself from those that they were attached to, I guess they decided that they wanted to detach themselves from me. Whatever. Um, so when I started to disassociate myself from people, I started to go to church. You know, I had my son. He was about 3 or 4 years old at the time. I had my son, and we were going to church, and I was working, and I got my apartment. You know, life was going really, really good, and I had, not a lot of friends, but those that I felt were important to be around, to have around, is who I had. Um, but then I decided that I wanted to stop drinking. And I think once I decided to stop drinking, that's when, like in the Bible, it say a great falling away. Yeah, that's what happened. There was a great falling away. And I've even heard with my own ears a person that I thought was family say, oh no, I don't want to be around her because she don't drink. Fuck, I want to be around her for. And when I heard that, that hurt. I don't know why it hurt. I really don't know why I hurt because this person is not a person. It's a person that I always knew didn't like me. But I knew that. But at the end of the day, family is family, and you kind of try to look past that. And I've always been a person who um try to. I don't confront people about certain things. I just move on. And I think that comes from when I was younger as well. Things that happened to me, I had to just move on. There was no talking about it. There was no, you know I just had to move the fuck on. And I developed that kind of mentality as I got older because I didn't see a point in talking about anything. Um so yeah, I just moved on, and I kept my distance from that person. But then after that, I got over that, right? And everything. But then I started to notice like the change in people's attitudes towards me. Um, and I was like, you know what? This is a confirmation. This is a confirmation that I am doing the right thing. So I kept on with the not drinking. Um, I prayed about it. I kept my head in the Bible. And I kept my mental on God, you know, what was right, what I felt was right, and trying to live a righteous life, right? Not knowing that, oh, you're about to suffer some more, you know? Um, so time went on, and I held strong on to the not drinking, and I thank the universe for that. Um, then it was time for me to quit nicotine, and I think that was much harder than the smoking cigarettes. I mean, that that's really hard. Anyone that tells you that smoking cigarettes, quitting cigarettes is easy. All you got to do is just put it down. Stop. Everyone is not the same. Okay. First and foremost, you have to know you. Okay. You have to know you, and you have to know why you are doing the things that you are doing. And one thing about me is I do not have a problem with being accountable for anything that I did. Okay. Um, so smoking cigarettes and smoking marijuana became more than just smoking cigarettes and smoking marijuana. Eventually, um, they were a part of me, and then eventually, that was all I needed. I didn't need no friends. I didn't need no fake friends, and I didn't need no fake family members, and I didn't want to be the fake friend, and I didn't want to be the fake family member. So I held on to smoking as a crutch, okay, because I didn't want to be around the toxicity and stuff like that. And I felt like as long as I got my cigarettes and my weed, I'm good. I don't need that. I don't need to be around. I don't need to be around that. I need to be. I don't need around be around this. I don't need to be around that. And if I do want to be around it, I'm still good because I have my cigarettes and I can provide my own vices, right? Which it was not always like that. You know, when you're young, you got your friends, y'all pitching in and all of that stuff. So it's like it's different. But as I got older and I was working and I was able to provide my own, and I started to see, um, where I really stood with people. I think it just made it all easier to hang on to that vice. And now, fast forward, um, my son is now 14. And I can breathe a little bit better. I don't have to stress and worry about certain things. And I don't have to be dependent on a vice that is actually not good for me anymore. Um, Everyone has their different reasons for doing what they do. And everyone has their different ways of going about handling what they have been through and what they are going through. And I've been through some things in my life that I could not necessarily, I felt like eventually I could not necessarily tell people, you know, um, partly off of shame and partly off of not even shame, just knowing that a person really don't care. So I kept it to myself. Um, I kept a lot of things to myself. Even even with my so-called friends, it's a lot of things that I did not open up to them about, and it's a lot of things that I didn't talk about. I just went on with life. Like, I did what I did. I made the decisions that I made, and I just went on with life. I let things happen that I was not too proud of, and I just had to continue going on with life because that's how I was raised, right? You just move on. Things happen and you move the fuck on. You get over it, basically. But in my case, there's a lot of things I did not get over. And I still have not gotten over. But I I'm working on them. I'm working on them, and it's um sad to say that I looked for grace in other people. I did. I looked for grace in other people. I looked for emotional stability in other people. I looked for love in other people. And all the while, I did love myself to a certain extent, but I didn't fully love myself. And it wasn't until I reached about 30 years old that I did not really know what loving myself pertained to. And so now, thinking back, yeah, I loved myself, but I didn't. I wasn't in love with myself. Like, but now I am in love with myself. And I would do anything to make that little girl that needed that love feel that again. And so if stopping a vice is going to do that, then that's what I am going to do. Besides that, I've just been doing it for a very long time. Um, and there are a couple of downfalls to it. Like your mental, it takes a toll on your mental after a while because it's a suppressant. And so you are suppressing whether you consciously or subconsciously know it. You are suppressing your thoughts, you are suppressing your emotions, you are suppressing your motivation. It's kind of like putting yourself to sleep. Um, and it feels good. I'm not even gonna lie, it does. It feels good. You relax, and you don't have that stress and anxiety. You know what I mean? And it's something that you like to do. And I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy smoking weed. I do enjoy it. But I know it's not good for me. I know it's not good for me physically. I know it's not good for me mentally. I know it's not good for me financially. And that's enough for me to say, all right, let's stop. You know, I've had fun, I've enjoyed my vice, but it is time to let it go. And I'm really, really just kind of looking forward to see how I maneuver in this life being 100% sober, you know? Um, it has already been 24 hours of me not smoking, and I am bored. I'm bored. I need something to do. Um, like when you don't smoke, you are up. You're up. Your energy is high. You are focusing. Now you're starting to see things that you didn't really. You seen it, but you kind of just put it off because you like I'll come back to that later. But like cleaning or like cooking, um, stuff like that is just I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. I can't wait. I did say that when I ran out of marijuana, I was going to start this journey. And now I'm like, I want to smoke. I do. I want to smoke. But I know that greater is coming. And I just have to be patient with myself. Um, I do, though, feel like I should just stop after my birthday again. Like, I feel like I should just stop after my birthday in February. And I'm rambling. I went through this whole ramble.